My name is Max Stein, and I love video games.
I'm the Megabuck. I really love video games.
My name is Raph, and I also love video games.
Hey friends, Vinny here, and I love video games.
And welcome to the Game Treasure Pantheon of Champions. It is the end of the year, and we are reviewing the video games of this year to decide who is the greatest game of the year. That's right. It's our Game of the Year show. Man, there were a lot of really kick-ass video games that came out this year.
For
We're gonna be
real.
talking about
For
probably
real.
the ones we like best, and then I'm gonna spoil it. You know how much we like to be stupid. We made a bunch of our own awards that we're gonna go over, and some of them are pretty stupid.
It's not even that we really like being stupid. We're just really good at it.
Yeah, we're just really stupid.
Big
Yeah.
facts.
Yeah.
But before we get into the games of the year, let's go back in time. What say you, gentlemen, with this week's Retro Zone brought to you by RetroGameTreasure.com and the Megabuck?
Let's go back in time.
What have
This-
you got for the end of the year?
This week we're talking beat 'em up.
Okay,
All right.
continue.
We're talking one of the Mac Daddies. What if two of the biggest beat 'em up Mac Daddies of the early '90s came together in one game?
Oh my god! I know what you're gonna say.
So I'm talking about Battletoads Double Dragon.
What the
For the
fuck?
Super
man.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
All right.
This
Nailed
game
it.
was actually made by Rare, if you guys didn't know, published by Trade West.
I played like once, maybe.
God, that game was
I
good.
cannot picture it in my head.
So this is
Googling.
Not only does this game have all three Battletoads in it, you couldn't play as Pimple in the NES Battletoads. You only played as Rash or as Zitz. Not only can you play as any of the three Battletoads, but you can also play as either of the double dragons.
The
Billy
brothers.
and-
Double Dragon.
The Lee
Billy
brothers.
and Jimmy. I mean Billy and
Drag-Eye.
Billy and Jimmy. So it's only a 2-player game, but there's like 5 different characters to choose from, which is super
Nice.
cool in a beat 'em up.
Oh, you got an elbow drop. That's
I
Oh,
gotta
dude.
tell you,
Oh,
the
man.
animation quality and just
Yes.
the look of that game was just stellar, and the music was mwah.
So there was a
Ooh.
Battletoads arcade game that came out, I think, around the same time. And so some of the stuff you saw in the NES, like the giant boot and like the ram's head when they were ramming, that was like there was a much higher fidelity sprite version of that in the arcade version. And
Right.
this one, it translated over a little better to this one. But if you're watching any videos of this too, something that's really cool is like right away there's really interestingly neat boss fights.
Right.
Like kind of like in Turtles in Time when you have that shredder in the foreground and you're throwing foot soldiers at him. There's stuff like that. There's stuff where like an enemy is hiding in a control room and you're having to grab dynamite and throw dynamite sticks into a control room at him and stuff. And just some of the different boss fights are way better than just a normal beat 'em up.
It seems definitely bathed in Battletoads a little bit more than it
Yes.
is Double Dragon. It's got those dang levels where you got to go down like a rope,
Right.
down a shaft. Oh my god,
This-
so hard! And I also see the bike levels, the
Yes,
classic
but this game
Battletoads
is-
bike levels.
This game is not nearly as hard as Battletoads. The bikes are
Yeah.
No.
like half the speed.
It's very
of the
enjoyable.
bikes.
Yeah, that's true. I'm seeing that now.
Battletoads.
Battletoads, so much of the hardness comes from the jankiness, you know,
little
and just the NES of it all. But the Super Nintendo looks like it's like gives it a little bit more leniency to not be so so
Yeah.
janky.
I mean, they start you out right out the gate, and the first level is like on the back of like a starship. Like they
Right,
go
that's what I'm
straight, they
looking
go
at right
straight
now.
Battletoads with it.
Yeah, the poor Double Dragon guys are just along for the ride. Is there like any in-game canon storyline as to why they're there?
I was curious about that. Like, is this
As
like a what is this situation? Like, how are we crossing these two universes over?
As to why they're there, let me check and see. I just remember the basic story that the Dark Queen is like fleeing and they're chasing her. Let me see if it
The
has
double
the-
dragons were
Oh.
abducted by the
Oh.
Battletoads, and they
She-
put mind
she-
flare
Like you got
parasites
there's
in
like a
their
No.
brains.
Bobo, and
Okay.
there's like a talking
No.
bird talking about a Bobo from like Double Dragon. Like, what's
Well, the
going
bird
on?
is the leader of the Battletoads. He's
Right,
like
yeah.
their head guy. So the reason is because the Dark Queen has allied herself with the Shadow Warriors. Those are the bad guys from the later on Double
Oh,
Dragon games.
right,
Like there's
yeah.
that fighting game that has that, and the cartoon had those guys in it too. So that's why.
Amazing.
It's because she's allied themselves with those characters, and so they're like, well, we got to go help you stop them. Like, all right, but you guys suck compared to us. But sure, come on along for the ride.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Exactly.
It's got like super Double Dragon levels of moves, like you said with the animations. You got a spin kick, a drop kick, a
Yeah.
fucking do
It
the
is
people's
so-
elbow. It's really cool.
Yeah, they
Nice.
improved on all
so
of that
wild.
too.
Watching a character from Double Dragon fight a giant hedgehog, like just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
an enormous obese hedgehog.
There's also
This guy
a
steal your girlfriend, buddy?
there's also a
This guy-
giant like muscle man Rambo ripoff guy who shoots a gun at you, and his name is Roper.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, I remember Roper.
Like
That's
Mr.
amazing.
Roper. What is that from? Anyhow,
Mr. Roper from Three's Company.
there we go. Three's Company.
There you
I was like,
go.
how do I know that name? Well,
My useless knowledge of 70s TV shows is come in handy.
It's paying off, Raph.
Battletoads. Is it Battletoads X Double Dragon or is it just Battletoads Double
it's
Dragon?
Battletoads Double Dragon, the ultimate team.
Hell yeah. Because
That's
they
a
are
really
the
fun.
ultimate.
That's a really fun subline. The ultimate team.
When you need
What?
someone to
What do you
fight
mean? This is
evil.
just for RetroGameTreasure.com preference
Yep.
setting wise. This is just a straight
Good
down
old
the
beat 'em up.
line beat 'em up for the Super Nintendo.
That's
Oh,
right.
That's really funny. Well, hey, we're going to take a quick break. Make sure to go to www.retrogametreasure.com so you can start collecting Super Nintendo games like Battletoads Double Dragon, the ultimate team as well. When we come back, we're going to be talking about some kick-ass video games from this year and before, probably. Gentlemen, I query thee. What maketh a game the game of the year?
Oh,
This is
man.
an abstract question. I was trying to just like do research for this, or not research, but just like, I don't know, what am I going to say? And it was just like, I'm trying to think about the Oscars, of course, like probably the most lauded award show in all of American culture.
Can I throw a
And-
stab out at this?
Go ahead.
I think what makes a game of the year, first and foremost, is mass appeal. Just sheer amount of the sheer amount of people that are able to get into the game and enjoy it. And of course, you're not going to get that kind of mass appeal if the game is not superb. So
Right.
that's the first thing that comes to mind for me is just
Mm.
universal mass appeal across all types of gamers. You're not always going to get that, but man, if you can, you got something special.
Man,
That's
and
an
you
interesting
know,
answer.
That is
Just because the
interesting.
Oscars does not obey that rule at all.
Right.
But it's because it's
But they're
movies.
stupid.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, video games are different because you interact
Mm.
with them. So, like you said,
True.
the amount of interaction is pretty much like a direct link to how much someone liked it. Because just because someone saw a movie, it's just like, I don't know if they liked it, but it's just like, wow, Bucks played Final Fantasy 14 for 30,000 hours. I think he loves it. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty certain.
No, I hate it. No, just
um,
kidding. I love it.
So, yeah, that's interesting because I don't know. I had a feeling that once we began talking about this, that we would immediately run into something like this because I am the opposite sort of way. When I think of game of the year, I don't know. I think my brain jumps straight to I mean, this is sort of leaking into my later conversation, but for me, any piece of art like that can change the way I think about something, or maybe make me say, like, I've never seen or heard or played anything like this, is like usually
okay.
something that I'm going to gravitate towards awarding praise to. Like, I wrote in my notes, if Silence of the Lambs and Skinamarink are in a room together, I understand that Silence of the Lambs is technically a better movie, but there's something about the fact that someone can say, Skinamarink has no actual subjects in any of its shots, and I'll go, what did you say? And I'm a real
You know what?
sucker for that.
Honestly, Mac, I think like going with that point and pushing it further, I think a game of the year takes risks. Artistic risks. Like Skinamarink as a good example, that's a big risk, not having any actors actually on screen. Just kind of like having everything, all the action happen off camera is very unconventional. And I think a big part of that, at least for me, because a game of the year, it feels like such a personal thing, like
Right.
everybody's got their own concept of what a game of the year feels like. Like for me, it's just something that, I don't know, just as an artistic package feels almost complete, that really sucks my attention away from anything else and makes me want to, feel compelled to keep playing it. And also just something that really gives you an experience. You know, I feel like a lot of, games are about experience as an art form. Like, it's the most experiential. You actually
True.
have to engage with it. And I think that's like a big part of it.
Hmm.
But mass appeal, as far as the Game Awards, for sure. Like, that's something that, a lot of people
Yeah.
have to play it. It's kind of a popularity contest, right?
It is. I
Buck,
would say
what,
that.
Yeah, what are your opinions?
I would say that there's a big difference between my game of the year and what I
Right.
think a game of the year is, and I think a lot of times it's a popularity contest. It's a
Yeah.
prom king kind of thing.
Fair enough.
And it's also, that's a good point. The differential between my game of the year and how I can objectively say
Sure.
what I would guess. Like, actually, this one was probably the best one that came
Right.
out this year.
You know what's funny
But
about this topic in general is that
Hmm.
when we talk about, what makes a game of the year versus what is our game of the year, um, what's really interesting to me is there's a game that I want to be game of the year, and then a totally different game I think is actually going to win game of the year, and then a totally different game from that is the game that is probably the best game of the year.
I feel that exact same way
Interesting.
actually.
And you know what? The funny
Mm.
thing is that I'm okay with like all three of those. It's
You
weird.
know?
I
Yeah.
guess
It's kind of like how
Yeah.
I say Final Fantasy IV is my favorite, but I will concede that 6 is the best Final Fantasy game. Like,
Right.
I'm okay with that.
I'm a big fan of the movie Aliens. Aliens is my favorite
Oh.
film in that franchise,
Oh.
but Alien is
Right.
the
Space
better
Marine
movie.
one.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose it does put an unfunny button to say. At the end of the day, I guess it really is. I mean, who's judging the Game Awards? They must have influential, like their personal taste must influence that Game of the Year
Absolutely.
at the end of the year, anyhow. But regardless, we're gonna get further into each individually. We'll go one at a time and talk about our games of the year and why and whatnot. So I'll go first. I'll set the scene. So for me, like I said, with any piece of art, I'll always give the edge to any piece that can make me say, I've never seen anything like this before. Skinamarink is a good one. Xavier Renegade Angel, Tim and Eric Awesome Show, or
Clerks.
TV shows that do this.
Sure.
Music like The Locust and Black Midi, movies like The Whale and Into the Void, museums like the Stuart Gardner House and Meow Wolf,
Okay.
versus like the Museum of Natural History. Like, I would rather see something where it's like, this is a lady who collected a bunch of artifacts throughout her life, and it's just like, well, what the fuck? This is
Yeah.
so strange.
That place is
I
cool.
like this so much better than this thing that is just like massively appealing or just aesthetically well done. You know what I mean? I just am such a sucker for shit that makes me like novelty,
For our listeners out in podcast land, if you too only understood 10% of what Mac just said, you're not alone.
Pause and Google all those places and all those things.
I didn't either.
So making great stuff is great, but when you can make great stuff that also makes me say, what is this? That is when you've got me. So with all that being said, the winner of my game of the year is Animal Well.
Mm,
It was
Good
hard.
choice.
It was hard to come to this conclusion.
good choice.
UFO 50 in the I would give it best indie game if I were the Game Awards guys, and then I would give Animal Well the best game of the year, and it's only because nobody cares about second place. Unfortunately, UFO 50 is getting like the Horizon treatment, where it's just like the first one came out against Breath of the Wild, so I was like, ooh, sorry, maybe if you came out last year, and then the next one came out at the same time as Elden Ring, and it was like, ooh, sorry, maybe if you came out last year. UFO 50, I love you to death. I think that as far as defending it as best indie game, it's like, all right, well, I guess if I had to, someone would say, if Animal Well's the best game of the year, then also isn't it the best indie game of the year since it's an indie game? And I would say, okay, but hold on, because best game of the year is like this complete package, and I'm going to ignore how it was produced because it's so angelic. But, UFO 50, let's think about it like this. We can't average it out, right? If we do a scale of F to A+, and Animal Well is an A+ game, and UFO 50 has 50 A games in it, the average will never get to A+.
Good
However, if we think about it as just numbers, Animal Well is a 5-star game, and UFO 50 has 50 4-star games in it. That is 200 stars versus 5 stars. So I'm just saying,
Best restaurant ever.
as UFO 50 is made by 6 different indie guys. So as far as being a flex for what indie games can be, it's like both a flex and a celebration of indie games because it's 50 of them made by some of the best guys out there making them today. But man, Animal Well inspired the art snob character that I play on this show. Like, that is how touched I was by this game. I had to make the art snob character because I knew that in order to go on the highbrow rant that I wanted to, I was going to need to parody myself in, in order to explain this game how I truly wanted to. And I was talking to Raph about this because we live in the same house. And so, we may have talked about this very briefly. I wanted to keep it a surprise, but we talked about what we were talking about just to get squared away. And it's like, it's crazy that I have to then explain, like, what is Animal Well? It's a Metroidvania.
But is it?
Because it's like, it's not though.
Yeah.
It's because it's so much more. It's a Metroidvania, but as far as like, see our discussion about video game direction in last week's episode, and when you apply all of those like judgments that we are talking about to this game, this thing transcends its very tiny genre definition of like map explorer and becomes this singular vision of a video game experience that I have never seen, that pretty much the world's consensus was we've never seen anything like this. Like,
it transcends games in and of itself.
yeah, and that wasn't
weird.
just my opinion. Like, hundreds of thousands of people thought that same exact thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a true labor of love that's programmed in C++ by a guy. I don't even know what else to say besides this is like the most miraculous thing. I mean, things I like about Animal Well: it looks good, it sounds good, it controls good, it's both simple and complex, it's both mysterious and completely transparent, it's both big and small, and it treats me like an adult while also making me feel like a child.
Wow.
That's
a pretty solid description, though. I mean, when you talk about what's your game of the year, air quotes, and it's like you listed a lot of things that cover any game of the year,
right.
And then you covered a bunch of things that really make it special to you, right?
One thing that's hard about it is it's like, it's a game that I will never see the true ending of because I'm not an FAQ person. I'm not going to do all the work to find all those rabbits. And so I'm like, man,
Dang it.
my only, like, it's not even a regret. It's not even something I dislike, but it's just like, I'll never get to myself see the true ending of this incredibly mysterious game. And I can't tell if that detracts from my value of it or adds to it, actually. I'm just kind of like, actually, that's kind of amazing that I will never be good enough to, because when just David coming over, our friend David coming over and showing us like how he got to this area, that I was just like, I just presumed that was impossible. Like, and he's like, no, it just took me 6 hours to do it. And I'm just like,
oh my gosh,
that's
he did
this
some
game
shit that I have never seen. Just a side note, you can jump on the frisbee while you're throwing it. He did that, and I was like, what the fuck?
Which just gives you an extra pixel of height so that you can get to places that you just couldn't get. And I was just like, this is... I mean, I know I have a feeling that Raph he's gonna go next. I'm gonna let him go next because I think he's also gonna talk about Animal here. But it was a game that just constantly, I would love for Raph to touch on the experience of playing it next to someone, but it was just a game that constantly made me on my couch just go, Jesus fucking Christ. This is fucking incredible. This game is insane. It's the most insane game I've ever played in my entire life. So I have to give it to Animal Well. Raph, do you want to go ahead and double up on this sentiment?
It's Animal Well. I had to pull up my physical copy that I had just off the side here. Honestly, look, there is no other game. This game like rejuvenated my joy for games in general in a lot of ways, and like rejuvenated my joy for exploring games. Like you said that it made you feel like a child again, and it really did. Like that sense of wonder and the sense of mystery that I got from this game. I can't even describe it. Like, I just got sucked into it. You know, I hadn't been sucked into a game like that for a long time. I ended up putting like 40 hours into this game before I got the second set of credits. And apparently there's a third
my
ending
gosh.
that I didn't even
Mhm.
know about with the bunnies.
You guys blew
Um,
my mind when you told me the bubble wand could shoot down.
I know.
Right? Yeah. Exactly.
There's so many of those
There's-
types of things.
And there are things in this game that I guarantee okay, so just take a visit to the subreddit for Animal Well and look at a lot of like the, I didn't have to use a guide until the last like 10 eggs or so in this game. Last 10 eggs, I was like,
Wow.
you know what? Okay, I've
pretty
done
good.
a pretty good job up to this point. I'm going to have to look it up. And as I was going through this guide, it kind of like listed certain areas in the game that it's like, well, this is how you get to this, how you get to that. There are still areas in the game that you can see that look like they're accessible that no one knows how to get to them.
Cool.
Or that there's
It's fucking
for
crazy.
example, there's a room that's dark. You can't pull up your map inside of it. Nobody knows what this room is for. What the fuck? Like,
That's
Billy
cool.
Basso just
What
he's
did he
making
create?
He's making an art snob's wet dream of a video
right,
game.
like
That's the
what
only-
kind of
he's-
a
it's
puzzle
fucking
box did he
perfect.
make? Like,
Those
I
are
feel
fun.
like if
We'll
somebody
find out in like
figures
10
out,
years.
Yeah.
if someone figures out every layer of this, I feel like Cenobites are going to come to Earth. They're going to accidentally unleash hell.
You opened it.
The well.
I came.
You explored it.
Mm,
But straight
your
up, though,
obsession
Animal
is
Well,
delicious.
Game like
Animal
that too.
Well is obsessive. It's beautiful. It's everything that I crave in an art form. And Mac and I were talking about this the other day. Voting on the
Steam.
actual Steam Awards, and there was a
Right.
category that was
Yep.
best. What was it? Best play
game
with
to
friends,
play with friends or whatever.
something like that.
And Raph's voting, and I was just like, hear me out.
Yeah.
Hear me out. Do you remember what
It's
it
a
was like to
single-player
play
game.
Animal Well in the same house?
It was incredible. It felt magical.
cool.
Just like, did you find this thing? And then Mac
and I would go, I
find
don't
what?
even know what the fuck you're talking about. What do you want? Oh, yeah, you
Yeah.
use the remote control to get there. Remote control?
what? Yeah.
What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah,
That's,
I mean,
it's a
yeah.
lesson in good game design too, when you
Really,
can get that far and
honestly.
beat a game that much, and there are items that I found this and you found this, and we both managed to get through the puzzles or the areas or whatever else with the items that it
Truly.
gave us.
the only non-linear game that the only truly non-linear game that I've ever played, or at least played in a long time.
Ugh.
Animal has got my vote for game of the year, guys.
That's
Incredible.
cool.
It's a work of art.
Buck,
That's deserving.
what would you say about the game of the year?
About my game of the year.
Your game of the year.
So my game of the year was a game I was already looking forward to and I was excited about. But I was also equally as nervous that in this follow-up to a game that I loved that they would drop the ball. And they certainly did not.
They so did not.
My game of the year is Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth.
Man, there we
Yeah,
go.
that's a great
When-
pick, honestly.
Yeah.
I will throw this curveball at you that while Venny is a huge Yakuza fan, I never really got into them because I do not like 3D brawlers. I don't.
Ah,
They're
yeah,
not very
interesting.
much fun to me, and
Kind of
and
agree.
I've
yeah.
learned since then that Yakuza is a very big exception to that rule, that they are really
Oh.
great the other Yakuzas are really great 3D brawlers. And so when the first Like a Dragon came out and I saw the gameplay for it, and it was turn-based RPG, 4-character parties, which is a sweet spot button for me,
Mm-hmm.
but in the streets, and it was like, this is a genre I didn't know I needed. That it was like today's today world. But the fun little hiccup of it is that the main character Ichiban loves Dragon Quest and always saw himself as a hero, so that's why the enemies change into monsters when you're fighting them in the streets. So it has that
Right.
fun fantasy thing to it. So fast forward to when they announced Infinite Wealth, it's like, okay, they're doing more turn-based ones. I have since then gone back and played like the Judgment games, which are spin-offs of that, and the Man Who Erased His Name, which is the tie-between game between the first Ichiban Like a Dragon and Infinite Wealth.
Right.
And those are all beat 'em up styles. None of the other games were turn-based except for that one. So this is only the second one that's going to be turn-based. So it's like, man, are they going to find that lightning in a bottle again? Are they going to be able to do this? Are they going to be able to improve the system? fix the little things that need to be fixed and make it a little bit. Holy shit, yes. Answer all those check
They
check
did
check
it.
box.
What's the name of the fucking
Those
Pokemon that are
mad
inside
lads.
of the game?
Sujimon.
Oh
The
my
Sujimon.
fucking god, dude! You don't
The-
know about this, Raph?
The
Dude,
Mad Lads did what?
There's a whole this game the combat style, the story, but the side quests, there's an entire set of side quests in the first one where you just are collecting them and fighting them, but in the second one you actually get a party of Sujimon and you do Sujimon battle. It's Pokemon with people. You fucking capture people
With like
and
freaks,
fight
like
with
not
the-
with regular people,
dude in a
like with,
trash
like,
bag.
yeah, like
like
weirdos
Yeah.
and
hobos
stuff,
and wrestlers,
like
and
oiled up
cosplayers.
beach bums and,
there's-
stuff.
and-
Like it's
and there's freaking gym leaders. You have to beat the gym leaders and whatnot to level up and do. There's a whole side quest that takes like an extra 10 hours. Yakuza is the king of side quests, and this series is no exception. So yes, the Sujimon was a whole thing. I did them all.
Hell
But
yeah.
the tie-ins to the older games that don't get away from you if you've never played them, but there's appreciation there because this one really is a handing of the torch to Ichiban, who is like almost like the new leader of this series, kind of sort of now, because Kiryu's getting up there in age, and they kind of knew eventually, like the man has to age. He cannot be 80 years old and still beating the shit out. Well, he probably still will, but be beating the shit out of people in the streets. But but all of those things they needed to do to improve on that game, they did it. They pulled it off. Every one of those things. The battling system still turn based, but a little bit of control over the placement of your character, so you're not like I'll throw back to like old school. Probably the only thing I don't like so much about, I'm gonna throw out Lunar, because you move around the map, the 2D map in Lunar, and you can't always 100% control where your character is. And in this follow-up, you have kind of a little semicircle around your character where you can adjust it just a little bit, because positioning and AoE attacks matter a lot in that game.
Team up attacks, etc. as well.
Yeah, follow-ups from other characters. You build bonds with the other characters, and then they do more follow-up attacks to yours too.
So you love the gameplay. You're addicted to the gameplay.
The job system, it has a job system, dude. It has like
Hell
a Final
yeah.
Fantasy V
Love that.
tactics style job system. The gameplay alone is any RPG lover's wet dream. But above beyond the other things that it has in there too. But between that, the voice acting, the way the story was, it's twice as long as you thought it was going to be. But I want to touch on one really cool thing that I know is really near and dear to me and Venny's heart, and that is the music.
Yes, sir.
Without spoiling much, because I heard this before I got to the end of the game too. This game has amazing music, but I want Mac to showcase here a track called Metempsychosis, which is the final boss's track.
This is
Oh, let's
pretty
listen
epic.
to this. Hell yeah.
I want to rupture your ears here, but I'm gonna turn it up. Damn.
Okay. So I've got a playlist of like boss fight music. This could go on as ass.
It's like aquatic
Fucking
ambiance
epic.
had a hard rock trance baby.
Yeah.
I could just see you slugging it out with some shirtless, full body tattooed, like cigar chomping, gray haired, fucking Yakuza boss guy.
85% of the things you just said were true.
Hell yeah.
It just
That's
when
amazing.
when there's a music like that and it culminates at the end of this story, when you're like somewhere between fighting and angry and happy and sad, and I'm just gonna kick this guy's ass. All the things that he's done to me in these last 98 hours.
So Buck's favorite video game genre is pretty much RPG/JRPG. So what I'm hearing is that this was the best one that he played this year.
Yes, in a year where there were a lot of games that came out, like I
Final
said,
Fantasy VII's thing, the Metaphor, all the strategy games you played.
I played almost all of them. It's just it was the full package. It was the full package for me. It had mini games when I wanted to take a break from all the leveling and whatnot. It had tons of mini games and side quest stuff to do.
Probably the best sense of humor out of all those RPGs.
I have one big test about whether or not I really like an RPG by the time I'm at least halfway done with it or so. do I give a shit about the characters? And I really gave a shit about some of these characters. When the one character, Chitose, if you played it, you know some things happen with her, and you're like, no, don't. Oh, come on, you don't. You're gonna no. But I trusted you to. Oh, geez, and but then it's got so many redemption arc. You know when you're watching a really good movie and something happens with a character, and then there's like a redemption arc.
The hero's journey.
But that happens like 7 times in this game.
Hell yeah.
With like every party member you have. Every party member you have. The first person you run into in Hawaii, this happens at the beginning of the game, is a cabbie who tries to scam you and steal your money. He ends up becoming one of your permanent party members.
I love
That's so funny and stupid. I love it.
Amazing. That's great.
That's so
dude.
funny. Fantastic pick. I think a lot of people would agree with you on that one. Let's see what Mr. Venacore has to say, though. Will he side with Buck or will he stray?
Well, and just to kind of throw one last parting shot at, Buck talked about redemption arcs galore in Infinite Wealth. I got to say, right down to like during the end credits, there's even a redemption arc during the ending credits. I mean,
wow.
It's never ending. It's very, very satisfying.
It's fantastic.
And I have to say, as much of a JRPG fan as he is, I mean, I'm right there with him. It's always been my top genre. My entire life, all the way starting with Final Fantasy 1 back in 1989. And, so always near and dear to my heart. So this Game of the Year subject has been rolling around in my mind for quite some time. And, it's just so interesting when we led off this episode with, what makes a Game of the Year and just some great perspectives. And I'll be very honest with you, and I'll just get straight to the point. I think Metaphor ReFantazio is my Game of the Year.
Nice.
I have a feeling as
it's extremely high quality. I love the persona formula. The characters are so damn likable because the writing is so unbelievably good that I can't say enough good things. Like, I think every time I sit down for a play session, something makes me tear up just because it's so it's so immersive and so well fleshed out, and you care so much about these characters, and that's rare for me these days. I really have to say, when it comes to RPGs, I mean games in general, like, I just feel like a lot of it has been done so many times, and then you get a game like Metaphor that is exploring new types, new what's the word I'm looking for? Like I think they're
like
creating
new avenues of
I
storytelling.
think they're creating
almost.
some brand new tropes in this game.
Cool.
That's awesome.
That we've never seen before.
That's a big deal.
I mean, I was gonna say this one came out of left field for me when you told us about it, over the summer, that it was like, oh yeah, they're making a medieval Persona game. Squeeze me?
Yeah.
Last year, right before I stopped streaming, to get my act together for the move and etc. But back in 2023, I announced that my most anticipated Game of the Year was Metaphor last year. Like, I've been eyeballing this thing since the summer of 2023. So when it came out for me, it was a no-brainer. I mean, I did a collector's edition unboxing video, etc. But I know that Metaphor is not. I don't think it's going to win Game of the Year. It's my Game of the Year, and it's up for Game of the Year. I don't think it's going to win Game of the Year because I don't think there are enough people who are going to dive into it as deeply as I have.
Yeah.
And that's a little more niche than some of the other games in the category.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's okay, because you've also got a game up for Game of the Year like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is just a crowd favorite. I think it's going to win Game of the Year.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah.
But I think so too.
The game that, in my opinion, has transcended borders and is innovated beyond is Balatro.
I knew he was gonna say
hell yeah.
That's why I was smiling right now. I was like, oh man.
Listen.
God, yeah.
I heard Buck describe Balatro to me about 6 months ago. He's played it on his Steam Deck, and I'm like, all right, sounds cool, poker and stuff. And then it came up as a demo on the PS Plus Premium. You get free demos, and I'm like, all right, I'll give it a try. 2 hours in, I have to buy the game if I want to keep playing. Well, they got me. So,
that's a no-brainer.
They got me.
That's a no-brainer. And I'm like working my way into Balatro and just kind of stumbling my way and figuring it out. I'm loving the eeriness and the environment of just immersive, card play. And then I start really coming back. And then I start coming back some more. And then I start telling friends about it. And then last week, I bought it for my mother on her iPad. My mother is 71.
Love it.
And
Love it.
I'm not even exaggerating.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm at her house yesterday visiting with her and my son, take grandson over and say, "Oh, hey, have you played any more Balatro?" And she gives me this look. She gives me this look and goes, "I've been playing a lot of Balatro."
Is Balatro gonna work its way into like the zeitgeist? Is it gonna become like?
God, I
I
hope
love it.
so.
I hope it does.
I would
I
love
hope
it.
it does.
Yeah.
So
It's fun.
That's
Go ahead.
funny.
I'm sorry.
my pyramid of disaster is I voted for Metaphor. It's my game of the year. I think Rebirth's going to actually win it, but hot damn,
Agreed.
Balatro is breaking the mold and transcending generations of gamers. Not just in my personal life, but I see it happening over and over. The more people who discover Balatro, like everyone who discovers and
This guy
plays
right
this
here.
game
Yeah.
becomes a stark
Yeah.
raving fan. Of
Raph,
the
a
game.
Easy to
week
play.
ago,
I was hesitant
Yeah.
to play it.
he
and I
fended
finally
it
dove
off
in.
for that
Yeah.
long.
Easy
There's
to
dove
play,
into
hard
it.
to master.
So
Holy
funny.
fuck,
there's
man. It's so good.
I mean, in my opinion, games like Animal Well, games like Balatro, I mean, it goes down in history. Like it's going to be the Balatro effect, a game
Yeah.
that can absolutely melt down borders. And just as kind of a little parting side note, I didn't get into Animal Well as much as you guys did. I played it for probably 15 hours, and I probably it probably deserves to go back a go back for me. So I mean, and that's a great game to play on the Portal also.
Oh, yeah.
I will
Yes,
say
sure.
this. As I'm hearing you guys talk about Animal Well and the uniqueness of it and just the pure joy of the exploration and just things that you discover that just blow your mind about this game, it's like I'm hearing myself 10 years ago describing Undertale to somebody.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say that's fair.
Because
Yeah.
when you
It's got that same level of meta-ness in it, but it's like hided behind a curtain of like, what are you talking about? I'm just a video game. And you're
Right.
like, I see you
Right.
in there.
You know what's
Yeah.
interesting? So when right, I'll wrap it up. And I adored the music in Undertale. Buck knows this. I have
Oh,
God,
yeah.
I can't tell you
Hell
how
yeah.
many remixes of Undertale music in my playlist. But
Got to get this guy to Magfest.
what's really kind of cool is that you're playing through it and it's clearly like this 8-bit graphics, 8-bit sound, blah blah blah. And then when you get to the true ending, it becomes like this 16-bit masterpiece out
Right.
of nowhere.
All the deception is some of my favorite things games
Out
can
of
do nowadays.
nowhere.
Right.
Yeah.
It like it's like the graphics upgrade, the music upgrades, and you're like, what am I seeing right now? This is insane. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be walking around as this simple ass blob in Animal Well, and then you interact with the kangaroo, and you're like, "Dear God, what has happened?" Like, it's so grandiose and frightening with its glowing eyes in the darkness.
That crazy
Yeah,
like sound it makes.
this has been
so scary.
This has been a wonderful discussion, and I've
I tried to
loved...
convince Raph. To vote for Animal Well for best soundtrack because I was just like, "Dude, come on!" It's like,
Oh
let
no,
me
you
re-
succeeded. You
Yeah, okay,
succeeded.
yeah.
I did vote for it. Yeah.
Let me
yeah,
play
you succeeded.
the save room music for you
You
real
literally
quick.
just played
I don't know
the
if you
intro
remember. It
music, and I was
sounds
like, oh,
just
yeah.
like Twin
That's
Peaks.
right.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
All right.
This has been great, and Buck, hats off to you for the Infinite Wealth pick, man. It was so high up on my list, impossible.
I
to
love the
ignore.
reasoning too. I mean, it's a great personal reason. I love it.
Yeah.
So let's take a quick break. I'm gonna grab a drink, and when we come back, we're gonna get a little bit stupid with our own personal award show. You, the listener, are about to listen through 4 separate award shows.
They
all suck.
Spoilers.
Oh, no.
We'll be right back. All right, we are back and we are geared up for our own personal award shows. Hello and welcome to the Mackies, the yearly award show where I give out awards that I make up. Here we go. All right, the first Mackie is for best multiplayer game played on the podcast this year.
Mm.
Oh.
Nominees are Hunt Showdown, 1896, Dark and Darker, Barony, Helldivers 2, and Content Warning.
Ooh. Okay.
I wonder.
The winner is Hunt Showdown 1896.
Yeah,
Bro,
'cause we're
what
still
the
playing
fuck,
it.
We're
dude.
still playing
This game's
it.
fucking crazy.
We haven't stopped. We're getting a Post Malone update. We're gonna
Don't get
play
me
some
wrong, man. All of those other games I said were amazing. Like Content Warning, I almost voted for Content Warning for like most innovative gameplay at the Steam Awards until I gave it to Animal Well. But man, Hunt Showdown 1896, we still play that shit. That I am so impressed with how I have responded to that game, and I would not have played that game if it wasn't for the podcast.
I wasn't
I'm
sure.
so glad. I was
Yeah.
afraid to invite you to play it because I know how
Yeah.
nervous you get in those kind of situations. I'm like, man,
I
I
did
don't know if
not
you're gonna
think
like
I
it,
was
man.
gonna like it, and now I'm a fucking
awesome.
machine in that bitch, and
You
I'm
are pretty
fucking
good, yeah, it is
racking up
good.
those kills, bro.
I finally bought it for my son, and he started playing.
Fuck
I
yes, dude.
saw
Let's
that.
go.
I saw you were
He-
in
we had a game the other night where guy killed me, and he cleaned up, and I was like, dude, way to go,
Dude, we got to jump in
he's-
this shit. Okay. That is fucking amazing. That's such amazing news. All right. The second Mackie Award tonight is for the scariest video game I played this year. The nominees for scariest video game that Mac played this year are Silent Hill 2 Remake,
Okay.
Pilgrim, Silent Breath, Phasmophobia, and Liminal Core.
Ooh.
And the winner for scariest game that Mac played this year is Silent Breath.
Yes.
As
I
evidenced
figured.
by the fact that I actually injured myself while playing it.
Busted your knee, dude.
Oh,
that
dear.
stream of you playing that game is a phenomenal watch.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, Mr. Venacor, when I was playing that stream, that's that game where you can't scream or else you die. I got scared by something so bad that I jumped in my seat and my knee smacked against the corner of my computer. And I was
Oh.
like, 5 seconds later, I was like, man, my knee really hurts. And then I went down, touched my knee, pulled my hand up, and there was blood on my hand. I was like, wait, what's up? And I looked, and there was like an 1.5 inch long gash in my knee. I was like,
All this happened
what
on
the
stream.
fuck? This is happening while I'm streaming.
Oh.
It's the scariest fucking game. Holy shit. In
pretty good.
October, if you go through our episodes, we did nothing but scary games. We played so many of them.
It was
but
really
that
fun to
one
watch
was
you play that one. It was really
fucking
fun. When
made
you would
my
just be like,
It's so scary. It's so unreasonably scary. This close second was Phasmophobia. I played it for the first time this year. Go check out that episode. That shit was scary as fuck. Oh my god. All right. The next Mackie Award is for best game I finally sat down and played because of the podcast.
Well, I need to know.
Wait, other
The
than
nominees. No, that was not on. I wouldn't classify that as a finally played. Right,
okay.
because that was
Okay.
not so. The nominees for best game that I finally sat down and played because it was convenient for the podcast. Nominees are TMNT Shredder's Revenge,
"Ooh."
Sea of Stars,
Mm.
Death Stranding Director's Cut, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Super Mario Wonder. All games that I finally said, fine, I'll shell out the cash so I can fucking play them for the podcast. And the winner for the best game I finally sat down and played because of the podcast is Sea of Stars.
Wow.
Oh,
an
very
amazing
I
good.
guess
Bro.
Death Stranding. Oh.
Very good.
Death Stranding, I understand.
Yeah.
I played it and went, oh, okay. This is what everyone's been talking about.
Mhm.
But Sea of Stars, if you go back and watch our episode, my number one was like, why was I waiting so long to play this game? What the fuck was I doing?
Loved
Why
it.
did I wait so long?
Mhm.
It looks incredible. It sounds incredible. It controls well. It's funny. It was everything. Shredder's Revenge, great, fun multiplayer experience.
Mhm.
But man, Sea of Stars is one where the first thing I said was, why did I wait so long to play this game?
Yeah.
All right. The penultimate award here is the least enjoyed game I had to play for the podcast this year.
Ooh.
Oh man. I
And
wanna
the
have this too.
nominees for least enjoyed game by Mac played for the podcast this year are Home Alone 2, Home Alone for the SNES, not for the Genesis.
That was our very
Genesis
first
one's
one
good.
too.
Genesis one's good.
The Genesis one is good, but the SNES one. Super Mario Brothers 2. I'm sorry. It was so fucking hard to play. I had such a
Because he
hard
played
time
as
with it.
Peach the whole way through. He wasn't.
The
doing it right.
reskinned Master Chief Collection.
Ooh.
Persona 3 Reload. And what's this? Coming from the top ropes with a steel chair, it's Hole Dweller. Oh no!
Oh, I forgot you played a fucking hentai game.
Oh, it's killing everyone in the arena. It's such a disgusting, stupid game.
It's got a barbed wire wrapped around a baseball bat.
That's
can't
right,
believe
Hole
Matt brought
Dweller.
The smell-o-vision for
The
this game.
Futanari hentai game I bought and played for Valentine's Day
Gross.
was absolutely atrocious in every way imaginable and a complete waste of money. All right, the final award.
Zoinks.
The final award. The final award of the Mackies is actually the girlfriend game of the year. That's right. I polled my girlfriend to see what her favorite game of the year is, and the nominees are Cult of the Lamb, Dark Alliance, Stardew Valley, and Little Gator Game.
Oh.
And the winner for girlfriend game of the year is Cult of the Lamb, Dark Alliance.
Ooh,
Damn,
more than
bro.
Stardew Valley.
Really?
Interesting.
I'm gonna say, just as an accolade, not an award, but sleeper game of the year. Most hours played by a video game this year by me was Stardew Valley, sitting at 105 hours.
Wow.
Nice.
I waited forever to play this game, and then I jam crammed everything that I missed all into one go because I absolutely fell in love with this game. And this wasn't for the podcast. It was just like me and her sitting around like, this game's co-op, and I heard it's pretty fun. Cut to 100 hours later, and I was like, I fucking love this game so much. I can't believe I could live without this game. But that does it for the Mackies. Thank you so much for coming. Have a safe drive home. Somebody call security on Kanye West. Get him out of here. He's
Tip your
being
waiters and
crazy.
waitresses.
Yeah. Buck, would you like to present your award show to us?
The Buckies are all stupid awards that I come up with. I can't be serious in this, so mine are all dumb. Okay. I don't have nominees for mine. I'm just gonna go. I'll go right into
More
it.
like accolades. Yeah.
Right.
Like
mine
most likely to succeed.
Yes, mine are more like really sad workplace awards that you give out around Christmas because no
Yeah.
one's getting a bonus this year.
Oh, cool. I got tidiest desk.
Yes.
Nice.
Coming. That's right.
like high school theater class awards, Most,
Yes,
most
perfect,
likely
yes.
to improv his way out of a
Yeah.
traffic stop.
That's right. So coming up, number one is a game I actually really enjoyed. This is the Bermuda Triangle Award, aka the weirdest game I played this year, and I'm giving that to Pacific Drive,
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
wow.
Oh,
which
cool.
I
Yeah.
absolutely like. It had Bermuda Triangle vibes the whole game. I beat it, and I absolutely loved it all the way through. How weird and ambient, creepy it was at some places, and scavenging and searching around in the dark with your car was just so cool. The world building that it did
I gotta jump in on that.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I see that on sale all the time, and I'm like,
Mhm.
am I gonna pull the trigger now?
Just so
I
much
know,
fun.
right?
There's
Yeah.
some really cool game like not mods, things you can turn on that are like quality of life things to just make the game more fun and less punishing, which
Cool.
after a handful of time I was like,
Cool.
yeah, I'm just going to do that.
Hell yeah.
Okay. My next one is the Vampire Award, aka the just 5 more minutes, Mom.
Ah.
And that goes to Final Fantasy 16.
Oh, wow,
nice.
really
Okay. Oh, I forgot
interesting.
that came out.
We got 3 Final Fantasy games this year.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We got the Dawn Trail expansion of 14.
Uh-huh.
We got Rebirth, and we got 16. Like I had to go double check again. I'm like, this was all I got these right? These are all 2020. Jesus Christ.
That is
Man,
crazy.
yeah.
I played like 300 hours of Final Fantasy this year.
I remember watching you play that game. Looked beautiful.
It was really
16.
beautiful, and because of the way the areas kind of worked, it was always kind of like, it was one of those things where it's like, all right, kill this thing. All right, yeah, and I'll save. Well, I'll just go do that next thing, and then do this, and then get to there, and I'll just, well, I'll just go to that next thing, and it's like I'd end up playing it 2 hours longer every session I sat down. And I
Surprising.
thought I was going to play, so that was a lot of fun there too. The next one is the Tin Can and String Award, also known as the most broken, buggy game that I played this year,
Okay.
and another game that I beat. I actually enjoyed it, but that is Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader.
Oh,
Really?
That's
You know,
funny.
I caught the details of you playing that game when you were really into it, and I don't remember you saying much about bugs. So please
I didn't
elaborate.
know it was buggy.
Caveat: they have fixed a lot of them.
Yeah. Okay.
This game got beat up really bad because it came out a little earlier than it kind of should have. Like it came out like right at the beginning of the year, end of last year, somewhere around that kind of point.
Yeah.
And it I remember like the second or third update they did, the list of bugs was like 200 items long when they
Jesus
fixed things.
Christ.
I had a bug. There's a space wolf you can get in your party about 2/3 of the way through the game. He's fucking amazing. But I found a bug, and it happened more than once, where he would do this attack where he could dash pretty far. It's a grid based game. He could dash like 6 or 8 squares, which is pretty far in that game. And about 20% of the time when he would do it, he would dash to the enemy, and then he would start walking, and he would continue walking until he got to the end of the map, which essentially put him out of that combat because moving back was going to take
CRPG or whatever.
Oh my gosh.
moving
Oh,
back was
God.
going to take another like 8 or 10 turns.
That's so
and,
funny.
And I
Wow.
couldn't get him to dash and then bug and come back. He would just be out of the rest of that match.
Goodbye.
I
have to go home now.
That's exactly. I have to go back to my home planet.
That's really
My
funny.
people need me.
I did really enjoy it though, and I fought
Yeah,
through it. I think I put like 100 hours in that game, so I
Yeah.
did still really enjoy there too. The next one is the Seinfeld Award for the developer who made something out of nothing, and I'm giving that to Content Warning
Hell yeah.
Yeah. good
because
Fucking
I
love
feel
that
like
game.
I had no like predisposition of what that game was going to be about and if I was going to like it, and I wasn't a huge fan of what was the one we played right before it.
About Lethal Company.
Lethal
Yes,
Company?
like Lethal Company was all right, but I didn't really. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really dig it that much.
I feel that.
And so this seemed like another of that, and I had more fucking fun playing Content Warning the handful of times
Yeah,
that we
same.
played. It was just like we described, like when we were kids and he had the camcorder. It was just freaking hilarious.
Very interesting experience.
And my very last one is the Closet Hero Award because it was my most unexpected, was not on my radar, and absolutely blew us all away, and that was UFO 50.
There we fucking
There we
go.
go.
Because it was not even on my radar until like the week after it came out. And spoilers, everybody, I knew about it like when it came out the beginning of October, and I didn't tell any of these guys because once I tried it, I knew it was going to derail them from all the spooky games.
I had been hearing the besties talk about this shit for years, and I was
So I
horny
just
as hell for this.
kept it quiet because it really was. It was a closet.
Yeah.
It came out of nowhere, and it saved the day.
Incredible game. Well, that's been the Buckies, everyone. Drive safe. Make sure to tip your waitresses. If you
party's on the roof.
if your limo driver runs over anybody, make sure to tip off the witnesses. Raph, would you like to hit us with some of your awards? The Raffies.
I would love to. I went with sort of something a mix of both of your styles of awards. So my first award here is the "Fuck You, I'm Calling My Lawyer" award. And that almost went to Dark and Darker, but it in fact went to Pal World.
Yeah.
Because I had a blast playing this game, but it is now kind of maybe facing litigation from Nintendo. Who knows?
Yeah.
Dude, Pal World was fucking great. It was a really good time, even if it is basically just a ripoff of
Yeah.
Pokemon and
What
Ark
world?
Survival Evolved. I had a blast with it.
Many
Moving on,
hours spent at 2 a.m. listening to
Right.
podcasts simultaneously playing Power World for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Yeah.
30 of them
I had
approximately.
a lot of fun with it. It was stupid. It was janky. It was weird, but it was fun.
Yeah. I agree.
My next one is, and this is really stupid. If you guys saw my stream when I played Lunacid, this is the best crow themed character award, and it's got to go to Cheryl the Crow.
Cheryl the Crow is a
Cheryl the Crow.
fantastic NPC.
I'm sorry, Cheryl the Crow, great fucking name. She sells you stuff. Great character. I fucking love it.
Lunacid, an absolutely
Cheryl the Crow.
insane video game.
Lunacid is insane.
It
I'm so
fucking
glad that you guys got to
bonkers.
see
Cool.
it. Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's got a cool aesthetic,
Yeah.
and like they improved the fucking slow combat from like Kingsfield and stuff. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, the next award is the most low key chill dude award. Okay.
Okay. I'm just a
And this isn't even it's not even an award for a game, it's an award for a character in the game, which I have a couple of these. But it's that one guy in Pilot Quest that asks you to talk to him first instead of hitting him.
Yeah.
And
In
UFO 50.
50, yeah.
That's funny.
That guy was great. I love
Well,
it. Like
okay.
it just like
That's
completely
one chill dude.
Maybe
yeah,
try
he's
talking
a
to
super
me
chill
first.
dude.
And
And he
just punched
also
him in the face.
but he subverts expectations. I walked up to him
Because
and I
it's
was like,
the first
I'm
thing
gonna
you
fucking hit
do.
this
Yeah,
guy.
every time.
Right.
He's a scary monster. I'm gonna kill him.
I know, yeah. And then he's like, hey, how about you
Right.
talk to me first,
Yeah,
right?
Really good.
They knew it was going to
Uh,
happen.
My next one is my most patriotic game award. And this goes to the game of managed democracy called Helldivers 2. Dude, I still play Helldivers. You know, like I know that it caught some flack, especially with the whole PSN thing. But man, I
Nah, don't
fucking
worry
love
about
that game, man. I had such a great time with it.
I've never felt stronger and dumber than
Exactly,
Helldivers
right.
2. It was
My
so
favorite
good.
headcanon for that game is that all Helldivers are illiterate, and that's why you use arrows to do the commands.
Because
Doesn't
they
know
can't
that.
read.
They can't read.
That's fantastic.
That's my favorite headcanon
I
for that
didn't
game.
know that.
It's not real, but it's definitely like it may or may not be.
It should be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next award is, and if you've seen my streams, you saw me play this, but this is the Keeping Therapists Employed Award, which is also aka the most traumatizing game I've ever played, and that was Mouthwashing.
That game was fucking amazing.
Dude, Mouthwashing.
I haven't even
was
played it, and I
crazy.
almost gave it a Steam award for the most gripping story because I was like, I watched Raph play it, and that storyline was fucking
I watched
crazy.
some of it too. And one thing I really don't like watching streamers is when they narrate games. And Raph was on for a bit, and then it got really, really weird, and I found myself like,
I love
Yeah.
it.
Okay, what-
Dude,
what
I don't know
next?
what
Yeah.
like I do that sometimes when I'm playing games by myself. I
Yeah.
will start voice acting the characters and
but
like,
that
on
game-
my own. Yeah.
it was
That
a different
game-
level.
That game had a whole lot of crazy shit going on. But yeah, Mouthwashing, man, it just especially okay, so I'm not gonna spoil anything in case you ever want to play it, but the character Daisuke, man, the way that character story played out, let's just say it involves an axe. Okay. All right. But whatever. I'm not gonna dive too deep into that game because I want people to check it out. But my next award is the worst animal award. And it's that fucking wiener dog from Animal Well.
Yeah.
Not
Fact.
the
The
ghost
wiener
dog.
dog.
The
Aw,
wiener
what
dog.
wiener
No, not the
dog?
ghost dog.
The one that chased you
The
through
wiener
tubes.
dog. You dive into the hole,
yeah.
and then the wiener dog dives right in. Which, by the way, I found out apparently dash huns will chase like rabbits and stuff into
Yeah.
holes, and this is accurate. But
They're
man, dude, that
ratting
thing
dogs, yeah.
when that thing
Huh.
like hopped into the hole and I heard it, I screamed. Like that was like a legitimate jump scare.
Audibly screamed.
Animal Well is a horror game,
A
okay?
little bit, yeah. A
Oh,
little
It's
bit.
yeah.
100%.
Oh yeah.
It's a little scary.
Not even that one, but the guy. I'm not gonna too many spoils. But the Manticore. When you talk to the Manticore, when it goes, and then it shows up. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I nearly shit my pants. All right, and then my final award goes to a game that I didn't even play. I don't think any of us played. But this is the Day One Collectible Award, and it goes to Concord. Any physical copy of Concord is a Day One collectible.
Yeah, baby. Let's go.
Yep.
Game
That's
of
my
the
award
year.
show.
Game of the year.
Secret level. Let's go.
Concord.
Yeah.
Fucking so ridiculous. Well, that was nice. Hey, thanks everybody for coming out to the Raffies. Make sure to if you come in contact with aliens on your way home, forget it ever happened. It didn't happen to you. You didn't see anything. Yeah. Venny, would you like to round us out with the Vennies, please?
I will. I've just got a few short ones to throw at you guys. You know, I was thinking about some unique categories, and let's just jump right in. So, you know, as you guys know, my older son is getting a little bit more into games as he gets older and is more interested, and so I came up with the Family Friendly Award. And this is a game
hell
that
yeah.
I'm able to sit on the couch and play with my son and not have to answer any questions about objectionable things. I do have a few. I don't have nominees for any of my other categories, but
That's
this
all
one,
right.
this one I do actually. So
Mm.
the nominees for this one are Wreckfest,
Okay. Interesting.
Astrobot.
You don't have to explain that.
Vampire Survivors,
Okay.
That's
No explanations needed. Yeah.
and Lego 2K Racing. It's basically you can build your cars out of Lego
yeah.
stuff.
Anything like that.
And the winner of this one, I don't think comes as a surprise to anybody. It is Astrobot, because
Hell yeah,
Astrobot
it's
is
gotta
just
be.
a brilliant game. I think I had my 5-year-old sitting next to me for every second that I played Astrobot, and we got all 300 bots plus the hidden ones, and we did all the time trials. We 100%ed that game together.
Now that's some
Nice.
good father-son bonding.
Yeah, it was great. We had an awesome time, and Astrobot is also up for some pretty high awards at the game of the game of the year.
The Game Awards.
Yes, the Game Awards. Thank you. And I think it's going to win a couple categories, but moving right along.
I'm sure it will
That's
as
cool.
well.
Moving right along. The next one is this is called the One Night Stand Award because this is a game that I played like once and it was amazing, and then I just left it there.
Curious to see where
I
this
know what
is
he's
gonna
gonna.
go.
I think I know what he's gonna
What is
say.
it?
Yeah. And those who know me, this won't come as any surprise, but this is triangle strategy.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah,
Triangle
he was
Really?
so excited for this, and
Tri-
then
yeah, triangle strategy is a beautiful tactics nod to Final Fantasy Tactics, which is my favorite game of all time. And honestly, I can find no flaws in this game's presentation, its gameplay. It doesn't go down the disgusting Disgaea rabbit hole of min-maxing that I
Right.
can't. I'm sorry, I can't stand Disgaea.
No.
Um,
it's hard, too hard.
but I swear to you, I will go back to this game and it's going to be a great time. But I think I played it all of twice and then I just left it there, and I feel
Ooh.
so bad about it.
Ouch.
Hey,
I
we all
never
do
called.
it. We all do it.
Yeah, it's
Venny,
true.
you know
never
what? It's
called.
in my
I'm such a
backlog too.
jerk.
It's
Yeah,
in my
true.
backlog too. I know. I
Yeah.
played it maybe 2 or 3 times before I kind of stopped playing it.
Yeah, I feel you on that, bro. Third is my most played game of the year, and I'm just good. This by far goes to Hunt Showdown. I
Hell yeah.
logged
I-
600 hours in Hunt Showdown this year.
Fuck yeah, dude.
That's
So
an
fucking
absurd
good.
amount of time. That's an absolutely obscene amount of time, and
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it.
It's
Game
my
is
best
killing it. Yep.
multiplayer game of the
Yeah,
year.
seriously. And I got one last one for you before we wrap up. This is a Transcend Borders award, and this is a game that actually switched genres on us completely. You know this game from one genre, but the game that came out this year is actually a completely 180 to the original genre, and it did amazingly. And I'm not talking about Infinite Wealth.
Jared Leto.
I'm talking
Jared
about
Le-
Metal Slug Tactics.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, yes.
Metal
One
Gear
I
Slug
left
Tactics,
off the
or
list
Metal,
of chagrin.
Metal Slug is it's an SNK darling. It's a classic
Run
run
and
and gun with those beautiful Neo Geo graphics that you just could not
Mhm.
duplicate at that time in history anywhere but on the Neo Geo. And then they flipped the script and turned the Metal Slug IP into a tactics roguelite.
Crazy.
And
It's
it
the best
works.
idea ever.
And
It's so good.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's Dotemu or one of those guys, right? That make
Yeah, it's Dotemu,
amazing.
exactly.
One of those
And,
guys that make amazing games.
you know, I've logged about 20 hours or so, and it's starting. And the
That's
fun
cool.
part about roguelites is unlocking all the stuff and getting all the
Yeah.
different loadouts and builds and stuff. And
Mhm.
that I mean, I'm in the fun zone with that where I'm still doing it, but it's just been so enjoyable. And you start to really, create team synergies and like you get to the point where you can wipe the entire board in 1 to 2 turns just because you know what you're doing so well. And that's when it becomes really, really fun. So Metal Slug Tactics is really worth a look, and it's low. It's pretty inexpensive. I believe it's $20.
Something like that. Yeah.
Go check it out. Tons of fun, and that'll do it for me, fellas. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming to the Vennies. Have a good night. Don't beat your kids. Come on.
Nah, play
Unless they
games.
deserve it.
Let them play games. Don't beat them. All right. That was fantastic, gentlemen. Fantastic and stupid, just as I planned and expected. We're going to take our last break and then come back and do our quick little what else you got and go ahead and finish up our Game of the Year episode. All right, guys, what else you got? The ending segment of our show where we're allowed to bring anything to the table, be it video game or otherwise. This week, I do have a video game to bring. It is another one of the codes that we have been sent by publishers. Buck sent me this one, Rear View Mirror, developed and published by Cubus Games.
Cool.
Okay, my first note. Uh-oh, it's a visual novel. I gotta read. No!
You can't read.
The cool bit is that it's fully voice acted.
Oh.
Oh no, it's in a completely dead language.
Wait, what?
It's in a language called Catalan, which is a Spanish dialect that 200 people speak or
What?
something. Like and so
Wow.
it was cool because it was like, oh shit, wow, I've never heard this language before. But yeah, I have to read. I have to read all of this. So it's basically laid out like a comic book for all of the exposition moments of the game. So you play as a guy who gets like freshly released from prison, and the very first thing that happens is that you are given a decision, like where a cop or I guess a corrections officer comes to you and is like, "Oh, you're freed. Here are the possessions you had on you when you were imprisoned. Like, would you like them back?" And then the game asks you which one of them you would like to take.
Oh.
And like one of them is a picture of your ex-girlfriend. One of them is like a bullet that you used to carry around, that like basically it's a metaphor for your life as a mob person. And then one of them is like a picture of your mom or something like this. It's these three things that sort of represent these three different archetypes of your life, maybe. And so then you pick one of those things, go outside, and then from there, it's just a series of decision making. Like you see a payphone, and then it asks, like, you have to decide, do you want to call your ex-girlfriend or not? Like, and then the guy has this exposition about like, oh, she'll probably be mad at me. And then an old partner of yours pulls up in a car. Do you want to get into the car with him or not?
Uh-oh.
Cut to, no, I don't think whatever, it doesn't matter what you choose, because this is the actual breadth of the gameplay, is you become the driver for like the mob boss that you used to work for. So your friend comes up to you and is just like, hey, like, want to get some work? And your guy's like, oh no, I want to go straight. And he's like, oh, I've got straight work for you. You'll just be like an Uber driver. You'll be, you'll drive people from one place to another for the boss. You know what I mean? And the guy's like, what kind of people? And he's like, all kinds. He's like, has his friends come over, or have some, some business guys come over, whatever. Like, don't worry about it. So then that's what you do. You go to a series of missions, and just like the very first one, for example, is like the boss is Taylor. He's like he's having him come to his house so he can take his measurements, so he doesn't have to go to him. And before you begin this like mission, the guy, basically your friend, tells you like, hey, don't go like asking a lot of fucking questions. You know what I mean? Because like it's not really a good idea. And then also he explains to you, also make sure you're not being tailed. Which leads me to the actual, like, the only gameplay you really get is as you're driving, you have a few things that you can look at. So you can look at your phone, because sometimes your phone will ring, and also your phone has like a GPS on it. You can look at the side mirror to check basically behind you, and you can look at the rear view mirror to talk to the person that is in the back seat. And also sometimes the person in the rear view mirror will just talk to you without you having the option to decide not to. So like for the Taylor guy, he's like, so how long you working for the boss? And then the text prompt pumps up, and I'm just like, say nothing. So what's your name? Say nothing. It's like the next one is like he's got a girl comes in, like, and it's like, oh, you're going to the boss's house, and like your guy has this monologue of like, it's a really young girl, like I should probably tell her that to not, you know what I mean? But I was just like, but I don't want to get in trouble. So that's it. It's a visual novel where it's like mob intrigue, and the crux is that like,
neat.
do you want to shut your mouth because you were told to, or do you want to talk to these people, maybe save someone, maybe do something like this? I don't like, I couldn't finish Disco Elysium, one of the best fucking adventure games of all time, because I was like, too much reading.
So
But Mac, it's fully voice acted.
Did you get whacked?
Yeah, I
wacky?
know, but yeah, I got wackied. So yeah, that's my what else you got for this week. I'm gonna keep it short because honestly, I played like 2 hours, 3 hours of it, and I was like, I'm good. I'm sorry, but it's just I picked the wrong. Raph got the roguelike card builder, and I got the dang visual novel. We should have switched.
When I'm gonna be a game journalist, I only want good games.
God dang it! I give it an F. I hated it. But yeah, that's my what else you got. Rear View Mirror. It's on Steam. Go check it out if you like visual novels. It was intriguing. I just hate reading. Buck, what else have you got for us this week?
I beat Dragon Quest.
Holy shit, that was
I bet
fast.
Dragon Quest
Fantastic.
3. No, I put 50 plus hours into it.
Oh wow,
dude.
I just couldn't put it down at some points. It was a little grindy at some points, but in a fun way. Like it didn't bother me a whole lot. It was a blast. It's a gorgeous game, and I guess I never really got into Dragon Quest a whole lot. That was the first Dragon Quest game I have actually beat. I never even
Fantastic.
played a lot of the ones with kids. Yeah, it's cool. And I did not know that I knew about the Erdrick trilogy, but I did not know that number 3 is technically number 1. And so when you beat it,
What?
they basically say to you to be continued in Dragon Quest Remake HD 1 and 2, because 1 and 2 are right. They were actually releasing them to
because I was
us
like, why
in
would they
chronological order.
release them in that order? What a bunch of
Because
goobers.
number 3 has all the makings of the stuff that sets those other ones up, I guess.
Wow.
So now I'm even more excited about those, because that's going to be
Fuck yeah, dude. That's
super
awesome.
and not very far away too. It was great battle system. Just everything about it was a lot of fun. Little bit of a difficulty jump at the very end.
Really?
Like there was one boss, and I looked it up, and sorry, I game faxed it. I was not the only person that was like, this boss has 3 times as much health as he did in the original. It's the King Hydra boss, and dear God, like the problem is he constantly fears you and puts you to sleep, so you're constantly working with that against you. Yeah, and then he does this haze where you can't cast magic either. So it's like, you're a dick.
Jesus, you're a dick.
The other thing I had was a documentary. I watched Hold Back to Block's 2-hour Killer Instinct documentary.
Oh,
cool.
Back to block.
That's their YouTube channel, and they did a Kickstarter, I guess, for this one. Man, it was just so cool to see, especially some of the historical stuff behind the original Killer Instinct, which I really, really enjoy. The coolest part to me was they had a lot of interviews with Ken Lobb, and he is the guy who worked at Nintendo. And while he did not create Killer Instinct, Rare had already kind of been working with Nintendo internally. Ironically, the code name for that game was Brute Force.
I didn't know that.
And they had already come up with a handful of characters, and Riptor and Fulgore and
yeah.
Orchid looked totally different and changed her to something else. But what Ken did was Ken had this inkling in his head of a fighting game system for years. And it was so great because he specifically talked about in one of the old fighting games, when he first saw one of the characters do like a double hit, like an auto double, like the
combo,
granddaddy
right.
of an auto double. But you'll love this, Mac. He got the idea for the combo system in Killer Instinct from playing as Kim Kaf-Wan in Fatal Fury, because that move he does where Kim, if he catches you with one kick, he does the flurry of kicks.
Yeah.
And when he saw that, he thought, man, wouldn't that be cool if like all the moves and things in this game were bigger, flashier combos like that? And then went from there with creating the combo breakers and the ultras and all the other things that went along. It was because he's a huge fighting game buff.
I didn't know that. Kim Kaf-Wan, one of my favorite
cool.
fighting game characters of all time.
That was really neat. But that was a super cool documentary just talking about all that kind of stuff. And even when they made that new Killer Instinct, when they were coming up with the idea for it, they first created it in card game form.
Whoa.
So that they could lay on a table and go, so if you did this, then it would be that. Then this can do this, and this can counter that.
It's like
and
the stack in Magic the Gathering.
If you do this, your choices are this, 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 or this, and the different things you can do from that.
That's
and the
very
way
clever.
they fleshed it out. I was like,
That is
that's
interesting.
pretty cool.
Nice. Check that out on YouTube, you said, right?
Yeah, it was on YouTube.
Back to block.
Hold Back to Block, yeah.
Nice. Raph, what else have you got for us this week?
Well, I've got a couple of things, man. I actually had a pretty fighting game heavy week as well. So I've got a few things. I got a YouTube video. I've got a game that I played, and just like a personal thing for myself. So first, I was watching by this YouTuber named Thorgy's Arcade. This I think it's like a 6-part or 5-part retrospective series on the creation of the Street Fighter franchise overall. Really fantastic set of videos, especially the one about the Street Fighter movie. I was talking to Buck and Venny about this a second ago, and I'll give it a fun little anecdote that I learned about this. But apparently, what's his name? Jean-Claude Van Damme was high on cocaine the entire time. So they actually had certain scenes in the movie that there were days that Van Damme couldn't come into work because he had a cocaine binge the night before. And so they just had to film some shit. So there was actually certain fight scenes in that movie that were not in the script. They just had to improvise them. Fun shit. But my favorite part of that is that apparently Van Damme, they had to hire a handler for him. And what ended up happening is that this handler was supposed to keep him off cocaine, and Van Damme got the handler to start doing cocaine with him.
That's really funny.
The best fucking thing I've ever heard in my life.
It was an inside job.
Yeah, really fantastic series. If you can check it out,
Shit,
it's
that's
Thorgy's
funny.
Arcade on YouTube. It's the Street Fighter retrospective. It's like a 5 or 6 part series. The other thing is that I started playing Street Fighter 6, and I ended up winning my first ranked match, which as someone who's not really great at fighting games, I was like, oh shit, this is great. I fucking actually beat somebody online. It feels great.
First one's free, kid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I went through quite a few before I got to that win. But yeah, the other thing I got was a game. So I found a indie fighting game that was $7.99 on Steam, and I had a fantastic time playing it. It's interesting because it's a game that actually has no jumps. It's called Arcus Chroma, and it's a very combo-focused, grounded fighter. Look it up. Fantastic $7.99 little game. Really cool sort of pixel art look to it. Really nice, speedy sort of gameplay. Fantastic game developed by GX Development and Gima Games. If you haven't checked it out, give it a go. It's in early access, so there's not a lot of content, but what's there feels really, really good. Very, very fast sort of gameplay. And like I said, there's no jumps in there. There's
That's
like this interesting dodge mechanic. So you like
okay.
press a button to dodge.
Like roll or dodge or something.
Right, yeah, you can dodge it back and forth, obviously back to block, but it's pretty fun. I was thinking about like trying to get some people to play it with me because I think you can use the graphics look really good. And I think it's got that Steam like remote play thing where you can like if I own the game, Mac, I think I could play.
We can
it with
remote
you
in and play
computer,
with you, right?
and we can play like we can do Steam remote play with it. It's pretty cool. But yeah, that's my what else you got is just those 3 little things.
Wow. Yeah, that looks cool as hell. It's got like some Guilty Gear Blaze Blue level of combo length here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really nice looking. Really pretty game.
Cool.
Nice. Mr. Venacore, do you have anything else you would like to share with us this week?
Just one quick one, because as you guys probably know, if you're tracking when we actually film these things, last week was Thanksgiving, and a lot of people were doing stuff with their families, and when we usually record is on Friday, Black Friday. I think a lot of us were busy, so mostly family activities for me last week. However, my wife and I had been finishing up a series that on Disney Plus. We finished up Agatha All Along, which is the follow-up series on the main villain in WandaVision, who is spoilers, it's Agatha.
Sorry.
Statute of limitations on that one is passed, folks. And yes, Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. If you didn't know.
What the fuck? What the fuck? No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So anyway, it actually really good. We enjoyed it quite a lot, and the big twists were really solid. Like the payoff was good. It was a lot of fun. And Patti LuPone is in this thing. She is a Broadway legend.
I keep hearing that name. I'm like, I don't know who
She
that
was
is.
Eva Perón, the original Eva Perón. Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. That was Patti LuPone.
Wow. I do know this lady.
You mean Madonna?
She's a Broadway legend. I mean, she's always been on my radar because I'm a theater student. But yeah, like she was one of the main witches, and she killed it. And I just enjoyed the whole thing. And they've set it up for another season. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, Agatha All Along on Disney Plus. Wife and I loved it. Check it out.
Good. I haven't heard anything about that show, so that's my first review I've heard. It's good,
except for what's her face's butt.
I don't know what you're. Even
Oh, that's right. Yes, her butt is in that. I did see an episode with Eric, and her butt is in that movie.
Got a butt.
That show.
All right. Well, go check out Agatha All Along if you want to see a butt. Hey, that's been our show. Thank you so much for sitting through it all and all of its stupidity. If you have managed to survive this far, do us a huge favor and shake that corpse-like finger that's been drained of all its intelligence over to the like and subscribe button and press those so that you can keep hearing all of our stupid things that we say. If you are just listening to this on your podcast app, may I suggest that you head over to YouTube, maybe on your computer, to watch our live streams there. They happen every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I played Baldur's Gate just today on a final Dark Urge playthrough with my friend Caitlin, and that game is incredible. I can't believe I'm still finding stuff where I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's fucking crazy.
Forever.
Finally, you can reach out to us via email with any questions, comments, or games you'd like us to play at gametreasurepodcast@gmail.com. You can find links to that and so much more at our link tree at linktree.com/thegtp. Spoilers, look out for some new merch. My girlfriend is working on designing some new logos for us that are pretty exciting. Things that reference like I don't want to spoil it, but that
We've already
and
got a
then,
King of Video Games shirt up there. What more do you want, kids?
and also, I'll go ahead and say this here because I am gearing up for this. I think we're going to produce our first chunk of Patreon content. So Buck made this idea and I thought it was excellent. I think we're going to do a 5-part series for Patreon subscribers only that is just one at a time covering each line of the games of UFO 50.
Good idea.
So they're broken up into groups of 10. So we're going to go through one at a time each episode and go through all the lines one at a time. And Buck's coming up with comparisons for every game to make comments about how they draw inspiration from this Nintendo game or this Genesis game or what have you. And I have been working my ass off to try to beat as many of them as possible.
You don't have to beat them; just get the overall experience.
I want
right?
to beat them.
Well, I know that.
Single
So
one.
you can find our Patreon link at linktree/the GTP. We want to thank Crunkwitch for the use of our theme song, Clash of the Droids. You can find them on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, and other places where you can find music. And of course, we would like to thank RetroGameTreasure.com, owned and operated by the Megabuck himself. Retro Game Treasure is a subscription service that takes the hassle out of collecting Battletoads and Double Dragon the Ultimate Team. No more hunting, no more guessing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Instead, you simply tell Retro Game Treasure what kinds of games you want to collect, and then those games just come to you every month like a magic carpet delivering gold. That's right, your box will be filled with games according to your taste. You get a box of games that you get to keep. I don't know why there's confusion about whether you get to keep the games or not. I hear there's confusion. Anyhow, the games are tailored to your collection, so you're going to hope that you get to keep them, because since you've told Buck what genres of video games you like and what video game systems you have, Buck, spoilers, also keeps track of the games that are already in your collection. So these are going to be games that you're going to like that you haven't played, that you don't own yet. It's a miraculous service. Hey, want to start collecting a new console? This is where you start. He literally has a console shop that you can go to. You say, I'm going to get an N64, and then you go over to your preferences page and you click N64. I now own N64. All those genres that you had already said that you liked, he already knows that. So now he's just going to start giving you ones for the N64 in your box. Yay. It's just that easy to start collecting games. You don't have to go to the flea market. Start collecting games the easy way today with RetroGameTreasure.com. Buck, hit me with your list of new subscribers, please.
This week we welcome Brandon Newland, Matthew Durkin, Michael Davis, Ron Johnson, Joseph Gonthier, and Justin Paul.
Thank you guys so much for subscribing. It means a lot. My name is Max Stein, and I love the Game Treasure podcast. It's so bad.
It's so
bad.